Hello, my name is Austin Samargo, and today I want to talk about the concept of a dictatorship. So, I'm in the United States. Many of you who watch this are probably in the United States as well. In the United States and many NATO countries, they have pushed this indoctrination, telling us that many other of these countries are dictatorships, right? And they'll come to use this term to describe a one-person autocratic totalitarian rule over a complete country. That's what their definition of dictatorship that they have purposely, continuously pushed onto us in an indoctrination, and they tell us, "Oh, Kim Jong Il is a dictator. Oh, these people were dictators. Stalin was a dictator." So here's the thing. First, I think to better understand this concept, we might as well go back to the root definition of the word. All right, dictate. Dictate means you tell somebody what to do, basically, right? I'm dictating that this should happen. Dictate means you have power, or you have control, or you have say over what something else or someone else does. You decide what happens, okay? But the dictate things can be dictated by a number of things, not just one person. Things can be dictated by a group. If you're in a democracy, things are dictated by democratic means. They come to a democratic conclusion, and they dictate, okay, whatever the vote reaches, that's the dictation that we're gonna push through. If this bill passes, it becomes a law, then this is us dictating that these are the changes that are being made. All right. So nature dictates us, right? Because we have to conform to the laws, the scientific laws of the material world and the material universe. We have to breathe to survive. We have to eat to survive. That. So basic survival instincts dictate, part us in some small way at least, right? So in dialectical and historical materialism, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels came up with the basically what I just said, dialectical and historical materialism, this concept that society has always been the dictatorship of one class of people, which it has always been a minority group, in the past thousands of years that we have in recorded history, a minority group of people having dictating the majority of the people in society, the common people, right? So we see many examples with this. At first we have the early God right kings and emperors. Like and the royal family who controls the whole country. And then we have the feudal system with kings and lords and ladies and the merchants. And they control, like like the lords and the ladies own this whole town or whatever, and all the people are their subjects, and they have to pay the lords and the ladies tax just because they were born into that privilege, in that privileged position in society. So today, as I've said in many of my videos before, we still have this. We still have a minority group of in the United States. We do. We still have a minority group of people, these capitalists. Everybody says the 1%. you know and of course there's various levels of it. And of course the 0.01% have way much more control than just the people in the regular 1%. But the point is, it's a minority group of people that are controlling society. And I'm not talking about no racial minority, no sexual orientation minority, none of that. I'm talking about a minority, as in a small group of people are controlling all the rest of the people and dictating what they do. So this has come to, they studied this and they looked at all societies throughout history. And like I said, they decided society is always one class of people, one group of people dictating the rest of the other group of people. And throughout history, there's been revolutions and where the masses of people, like the common people, have all risen up, and they've defied the rule of that minority group, and they have overthrown them. So this is the science of revolution. The science of revolution, we have to get all the masses, all the people that are oppressed by the minority, at least a good percentage of them, like most of them, the masses. It has to be a majority of people have to be on this conscious understanding of the material conditions, and on the same page, and in this mindset to liberate themselves. And so the concept in so basically they have this propaganda, right? They say that in these communist countries they're dictatorships, and the propaganda in the NATO countries in the United States are very good at this because and most capitalist countries in the world in general, because the original concept that was theorized, and this started with the Paris Commune, in France, when the workers, when the most of the privileged people and the rich people in town fled, and the workers all came together and formed their own government of regular working class people. And so the dictatorship of the proletariat, proletariat means the working class. The people who have to work for wages. And that's most of the people in society. You know, n- n- Most people are wage workers, and then there was the minority group of capitalists who exploit others for the value of their labor. Landlords, people like that. Bosses. So the dictatorship of the proletariat is the concept when the masses come together and they institute a working class democracy. That's a democracy without politics. I mean, I'm sorry, without money in politics. Because here we have this thing called lobbying, where it's basically legal corruption. These senators and Congress people, they're literally getting paid by these rich people to vote on these bills that give the corporations of rich people less taxes, more money. More literally, they have a printer, a money printer in the United States, and they just print this money and just give it to these companies. They literally do that. And then the conservatives want to talk about, socialism is wrong because, then we have inflation because you're just printing money to deal with the problems. And this is another layer of indoctrination, because the Federal Reserve, which is controlled by elite capitalists and bankers, and has been since found, since it was started. And even in this book I have, which is linked to a description, this book I wrote, explains this whole creation of the Federal Reserve and its intertwinement with the capitalists and everything. Since it was started, it was run by capitalists, for capitalists, by capitalists. All right. So this Federal Reserve right now has a current policy to keep their inflation rate at about 2%. They purposely print more money and create what they call controlled inflation, because here's the whole concept right here. With controlled inflation, the rich people, they have so much, they extract all the rest of the value. They only give the worker enough to survive, this much of what the worker produces. Then they take all the surplus value, and they are able to take that surplus value and invest it, pay other people, pay more workers enough to survive, paycheck to paycheck, that kind of lifestyle. They're just paying them enough to survive, not the full value of what their labor produces. And so then, or they can buy land and make people pay most of their money to not even own that house one day, just because they weren't privileged enough to be in a situation. Because there are these capitalists, a lot of them, they were born into this position where they didn't have to worry about getting a house. It was just given to them. So we want to make a more fair society when where the workers receive the full value of their labor. And the way to get there is with socialism. Communism is the ideal society, a goal of a cashless, classless, and stateless society. And we get there by socialism, which is creating a working class democracy and using legislative power, political power, to redistribute the wealth. So, yeah, so the dictatorship of the proletariat is the working class dictatorship. So this is our goal that we wish to achieve. To do this, we have to have a mass movement. The masses of people have to rise up, and we have to institute our own democratic system that is based on true merit, not money. And so this is what they call dictatorship of the proletariat, because the capitalists are not allowed to interfere with it. It's when the working class controls the socioeconomic system, not the rich people who try to exploit the workers. Gradually, we hope to take this capitalist class will fade away and will truly transition into an ideal society. But to do that, first the workers have to have power. The masses of people have to have the political power so they can redistribute the wealth and so we can move forward. Thank you for listening. If anyone has any questions or comments or concerns, please comment that. And I'm going to put a link there with some resources about socialism and socialist countries and all that in the description too. Along with, like I said, my book you can buy it on Amazon or contact me directly. I hope you have a nice day or night or whatever it is for you.